I have always maintained that because I used to be a reporter, used to be a managing editor for SportsWire Service, and I've been doing this as a professional sports handicapper, the guy who created DeMarcoSports.com 23 years ago, that I have an inherent advantage when it comes to doing a bracket pool because I've been following all these teams, with the exception of four in the entire bracket, with the exception of four teams. I have handicapped games and followed these teams since the season began in November. And that's something that I understand 99.9% of you can't and won't. And why would you? This is what I do for a living. And in reality, I think any handicapper that's worth a grain of salt, that's worth a grain of salt, let me just repeat that once again, should have that type of experience and knowledge if they do their research. But I'll be honest with you, a lot of guys just focus on one or two conferences. They focus on their favorite teams and they don't win, and their knowledge is pretty much non existent. There's even a few of them at our site. Anyway, guys, DeMarco here, General Manager, DeMarcoSports.com. I am going to break down my bracket for you as I've done for the last 20 some years. So I want you to go to DeMarcoSports.com and I'm going to wait for you. You can click on the bracket and follow along with me. You can download it, you can print it. So go ahead. What, do you think I'm going to wait for you? Come on, pause the video and go do it yourself. Now, I will tell you this from a gambling perspective, though, and I just want to talk about gambling here too. I think one of the big mistakes that gamblers make throughout the tournament, and there's actually two of them. One, do not, do not ignore the minor league tournaments. The CVI, the College Insider, the Crowns tournament on Fox that's coming up a couple weeks from now, the NIT. Every opportunity is a 50-50 shot when it comes to gambling. The marquee games are often the toughest to win. Do you really think the lines are going to be that sharp? Did you look at the NIT field, how lousy it is? I don't care where the win comes from. I just want to win the damn game. Now, the other thing, of course, is that, in the Super Bowl, that little game we had between the Chiefs and the Eagles, they estimate that illegally in the 38 states here in the US where we have legalized gambling and the District of Columbia, that there was probably about $1.4 billion bet on that game. Last year in March Madness, 2.7 billion was estimated to be legally wagered in the USA. And then when you throw in office pools and illegal wagering, they estimate it to be 15.5 billion. I think that number is probably closer to 20 billion. I have another video, which is highlighted up there, where I give you what I call bracketology. When I used to do a ton of interviews every single week during March, TV, radio, probably 60, 70 a week, everybody wants to talk about how does the 7 seed do? How's that, number 1 seeds? Are they all going to advance? What's the history, historical perspective, etc.? So I have all the numbers. I break them all down for you. I run through them all, and that is available for you as well in the accompanying video. But this is all about breaking down my picks here in the tournament. So without further ado, let's get to it. And guys, we are going to start on the left side of the bracket where the number 1 overall seed, Auburn. I think Alabama State is going to advance against St. Francis. St. Francis, I think St. Francis won its final 6 games, and all 6 games, 3 of them were decided in overtime, and 3 of them were decided by margins of 3 points. I think Alabama State is a little better, so I'm going to take Alabama State to advance in the play-in game there, and then they're going to get smoked by Auburn. Louisville and Creighton. It's a tough matchup. I mean, Louisville, I would have given you Louisville in this game probably 6 weeks ago before Louisville had a few injuries. And even though this game, I think, is in Lexington, I still like Creighton here because of the big guy in the middle. Although Creighton can be an up and down team, I'm not sure how the hell they lost to Marquette, but I do like Creighton in this spot. I'm sorry, to St. John's. I do like Creighton in this spot. Michigan and UC San Diego. UC San Diego, the best team in basketball this year when it came to covering the spread. I don't think they can beat Michigan. Now, I think they could probably cover that spread, But I do like Michigan to take care of business here, and I think it helps if Dusty May is their coach. Look at the turnaround this Michigan Wolverines team has had this year. Um, so I like Michigan in the spot to advance. Texas A&M and Yale. I went with Texas A&M on my bracket. Would not surprise me, however, if Yale pulled the upset here because I did not like the way the Aggies finished the regular season or played in the SEC tournament, but I did take them here on my bracket. You have the next one, the play-in game, North Carolina and San Diego State. I spent a lot of time this year making money in the Mountain West Conference. I got a chance to see San Diego State play a number of times. At home, a tough team, a tough defensive team as well. But offensively, they struggle, and I think that plays into North Carolina's wheelhouse. Do I think the Tar Heels deserve to be in the tournament? Absolutely not. In fact, I think much ado about nothing about the teams that got snubbed, that felt that they didn't get the tournament invite. West Virginia, you shouldn't have lost to Colorado. Ohio State, are you serious? Indiana, my God, you sucked in the middle of the year. I think the team that got screwed was Boise State, actually, because they beat San Diego State. So anyway, I think San Diego State goes down here. I think North Carolina advances. Iowa State, yeah, it helped that after the tournament seedings were announced, the Cyclones head coach announced that your best player is going to be out for the entirety of the tournament. Yeah, you'll see why I went against Iowa State as the tournament continued. New Mexico and Michigan State. I'm sorry, Marquette and New Mexico. New Mexico a month ago, I would have given you even money on the Lobos pulling the upset here because Marquette did not play well down the stretch either. However, once New Mexico lost those back-to-back road games to Boise State and San Diego State, I got off the Lobos bandwagon. I was not surprised that they failed to win their conference tournament. Great player in Dent. Going up against Jones, a matchup of two superior guards, but I think Marquette is the better team, and I like Marquette in this spot. Florida and Bryant, are you kidding me? Connecticut and Oklahoma. A lot of folks think that Oklahoma's defense is going to give Connecticut trouble. I will still go with Connecticut, though, here to win. Again, I'm not picking against the spread. I just need them to win the damn game. Colorado State and Maryland. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Excuse me. It's I have to look at my own screen here. It's Oklahoma was taking on UConn. Yes, I gave you that. It's Colorado State and Memphis. Memphis, the other M team. I was not impressed by Penny Hardaway's team all season long, and with Hunter in a walking boot, missing the last couple games of the tournament, Conference USA tournament or the AAC tournament. I don't know what to make of Memphis, but I'll tell you one thing. I rode Colorado State down the stretch. They finished the regular season and the tournament with 11 straight wins to come into the dance. And I think Colorado State wins this game outright. Grand Canyon is taking on Maryland. And I'm going to go with Maryland, obviously, here. Missouri and Drake. A lot of love for Drake because, of course, how the new coach brought in four of his starters from Northwestern State and how Drake dominated the Missouri Valley Conference. But Dennis Gates really had a hell of a season with those Missouri Tigers, and I think they're a more physical team, and I like Missouri to advance here. Texas Tech and NC Wilmington, are you kidding me? Kansas and Arkansas. Is Kansas the most disappointing team this year in D1 ball? I think so. And Arkansas played better down the stretch. I'm going to go with Arkansas and take a shot here and have a rematch with Coach Cal and Rick Pitino, right? Because St. John's is obviously going to take care of business against Omaha. So continuing on the left side, let's move to the next side of the bracket, moving inwards. Auburn then takes on Creighton. I'm going to go with Auburn, although Auburn 3-4 in its final 7 games, not exactly inspiring, right? Michigan and Texas A&M. I'm going to go with Michigan. North Carolina and Iowa State, because Iowa State's top player, leading scorers out. I'm going to take North Carolina. It's not because North Carolina is going to prove everybody wrong, but they got a favorable draw here. Marquette and Michigan State. Michigan State. Shocked that they lost to Wisconsin, but I'm going to go with Michigan State. Florida and Connecticut. See you later. Connecticut, your 2-time reign is over. Colorado State and Maryland. Okay. I like Colorado State. I didn't say I was in love with Colorado State. I think Maryland does beat them. Because now you're stepping out of your comfort zone. Missouri and Texas Tech. Texas Tech has some injuries, but at this point, I did take Texas Tech to advance here because of their superior offensive firepower. Arkansas and St. John's. I love St. John's in that spot. I would take St. John's no matter who advances from that Arkansas-Kansas game. Next round, moving over. Now we've got, just want to make sure I gave you everybody. Yes, I gave you everybody. Now we have Auburn and Michigan State. I'm going to go with Michigan State. I think they're a well-balanced team and they can give Auburn the battle they need on the boards. So I like Michigan State to advance. Florida and St. John's. Yes, I love St. John's, but this team cannot shoot the three ball. I think a little under 30% for the entire season. If you can't shoot straight and Florida has the bigs to pound with you and Florida can go 9-10 deep, that's why Florida is going to advance. And then that leads you to the Final Four matchup between Michigan State and Florida, and I'm taking Florida once more to advance there. Now, switch over to the other side of the tournament. Duke, somehow they forgot to put my entry in there. I actually like, in that play-in game, I like Mount St. Mary's. Who cares? Duke's going to kill them. Mississippi State and Baylor. Baylor has so much talent. It was such an underachieving squad this year, too, right up there with Kansas because of injuries and because they just never could play 2 games in a row that were good. I like Mississippi State here. I think they will play a physical game and advance. Oregon, loved the way Oregon finished the season strong, 10-1 close. Dana Altman, has he ever lost a first-round game? I don't think so. So I'll go with Oregon here, and I like the matchup, obviously. Arizona and Akron, no-brainer. I'm going to go with Akron. BYU, love the way BYU closed the season. BYU can take care of business against a VCU squad that did manage to win the Atlantic 10, but really peaked back in early February. That gives you Wisconsin and Montana, going with Wisconsin, obviously. St. Mary's and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, all those big upsets this year, but another team that really was playing its best ball early in February. So I think St. Mary's will slow down the tempo. I think that they will be able to hold their own on the boards because that's what they do best, and I like St. Mary's to advance. Alabama has some injuries. I'd like to know if Grant Nelson, how healthy he's going to be, but they're going to get by Robert Morris. Robert Morris, you made me a lot of money this year. I love you, Colonials, but the love affair is over. Next is going to be Houston, and it doesn't matter who they're playing. Then you got Gonzaga and Georgia. Did Georgia play well anywhere outside of Athens this year? No. Next. That brings us to an interesting matchup, Clemson and McNeese State. Of course, Will Wade, a Clemson alum, and I think McNeese wins that game. Yes, I think that they can pull the upset there. Purdue and High Point. Okay, listen, can Purdue possibly lose in the first round again? Okay, I'm going to go with Purdue. Illinois is going to take on the winner of the Xavier-Texas game. I know Texas had a couple of big upsets there in the SEC tournament, but I like the way Xavier finished the season strong, winning 7 in a row before losing to Marquette by 2 points, a game that they should have won in the Big East tournament. I'm going to go with Xavier there. And plus, this game is in Dayton. Christ, it's like a 45-minute drive between Cincinnati and Dayton. If this isn't the closest thing to a home game for the Musketeers, I don't know what is. Kentucky has some injury problems, but they're going to get by Troy. Utah State, watched them a lot this year. Again, a team that played better up until about the middle of February, but UCLA has not impressed me with their offense this year. Utah State is an offensive team, not a great defensive team. UCLA is the polar opposite. I took a shot with Utah State because you're always going to find upsets someplace along the line. And it doesn't matter because they're going to lose to Tennessee in the next round anyway. So now we go back to the top of the board on the right-hand side. That leaves me with Duke and Mississippi State. Yeah, Duke. Oregon and Arizona, a matchup of old Pac-12 buddies. I like the way the Ducks are playing. I think they're going to get the job done. BYU and Wisconsin. Sorry, I just like the way BYU is playing right now down the stretch. And with the way Saunders has been lighting it up, I'm going to go with the Cougars. St. Mary's and Alabama, I'm praying that Alabama is healthy. I think they, either way, even if they're not at 100%, they have more than enough offensive firepower to beat St. Mary's. Houston, yeah, that's a given. Purdue beats McNeese State. Hey, McNeese State can only win one game, right? That's all I think. Then you've got the matchup where, again, I think Illinois beats Xavier. And Illinois was such a talented team this year, but then injuries befell them. But they're now back healthy. I think they were a better rebounding team, and I think they can beat Kentucky. And again, that leaves you with Illinois and Tennessee at the bottom of that side. Tennessee, I think, advances. Probably be one of the in more interesting matchups because Illinois wants to get out there on the break and Tennessee wants to slow you down. You're going to have Purdue and Houston. Duh, I'm going to take Houston. BYU and Alabama, there's my dark horse. I'm going to go with the Cougars of BYU. And Duke is going to beat Oregon. And then Duke is going to beat BYU to advance to the Final Four. And then Houston is going to beat Tennessee in a game that probably the final score is going to be 39-37 and Boris Aldertears. But Houston advances to the Final Four. I'm going to take Duke to beat Houston. And then, as you see in the middle of the bracket, I'm going to go with Florida over Duke. Listen, this was a toss-up for me. If Cooper Flagg was 100% healthy, I probably would have taken Duke. But you saw the ankle injury. Do I think he's going to be 100% healthy in 3 weeks? No. And the fact is, with Florida being able to go 9-10 deep, with them having the big bangers up front to combat anything Duke can throw at them, and with Florida, with Todd Golden being able to go 9-10 deep, that's why I think Florida is able to win this whole damn thing. I love taking teams when it comes to championship drives, whether it's the NFL, whether it's the NBA, teams that maybe start off fast, they kind of hit a low, and then they accelerate towards the end of the season. That to me is Florida right now. So anyway, that's my bracket. There you go. Wish you well, guys, and we will talk again soon. Good luck, everybody.